Hey there, it's Imran and you're watching Imran Plus. Welcome back. Today we're going to be talking about Obi-Wan Kenobi and why I think with the finale this show really comes together and is actually a good show. Yes, there were some problems with it, but overall I think I'm satisfied with the show and I look forward to a season 2. So this video is going to be breaking down what I liked about the show, what I didn't really like, and why I think ultimately it works and deserves to get a second season. So if you haven't already seen Obi-Wan Kenobi, pause this video and go watch it right now on Disney Plus and then come back so we can talk about all of the details. Before we start though, if you haven't already, make sure you click that subscribe button so you can help this channel grow and so you don't miss any upcoming videos. Alright, let's get started. So let's start with the finale, which brings this entire show together. The purpose of this show and Obi-Wan's life purpose finally come into focus, and that is that this show has been a journey for Obi-Wan to come to terms with his past and look forward to the future. We see him finally let go of the guilt and inner scars and move on. Darth Vader at the end telling Obi-Wan that he is the one that killed Anakin, not Obi-Wan, was both a devastating but also freeing truth for Obi-Wan, which allows him to focus on what's most important, and that's Luke, Leia, as well as training the next Jedi. Speaking of new Jedi, I also really thought Reva was an interesting character who enriched Darth Vader / Anakin's arc in this series by illustrating how he broke so many people so deeply by joining the dark side. Obi-Wan was broken because he felt that he had failed Anakin, and so was Reva as a Padawan who felt betrayed by a fellow Jedi. Reva was a compelling character from the start for me, but because we didn't get into the meat of her story until much later in the series, I can see people who stopped watching feeling that she wasn't that great of a character. But her final redemption really paves the way for the character going forward. She has a bright future. I really want to see her continue to show up in these Star Wars shows. She is someone who sought revenge and found it unfulfilling, while Anakin is someone who sought power and finds the dark side satisfying. And so their contrast and parallel is very fascinating and maybe provide an example of what Anakin could become if he were to find his way back. Now let's talk about the show at the beginning versus the show at the end. The beginning was not quite what we wanted from an Obi-Wan Kenobi show. There were many setbacks, I know, during the production of this series, which caused rewrites and second cuts, and I know that COVID might have also played an impact. And so the beginning of the show starts off a little slow. We don't really know what the point of it is, and we feel like we're wasting time with storylines that don't seem relevant to the greater Star Wars lore or the character of Obi-Wan Kenobi. However, looking back after seeing the entire series and that epic finale, you can see that the show does have an arc and is trying to say something. There just is not a very clear execution. It's a bit messy. I think the beginning half of the show could have used another rewrite in order to fit the satisfying second half and finale that we do end up getting. The ending delivers on all of the promises and expectations of an Obi-Wan Kenobi show. There was action, aftermath, and consequences of the prequels, a good story, and universe context, which deepens the overall lore of Star Wars. Having these sharp connections, such as the "Hello there" line, which Obi-Wan says at the end of the series to Luke, being the same as his first line in A New Hope to Luke, "Hello there," really adds a lot of meaning to a simple line and interaction like that. This series also provides additional context for the sequels. You could see how this adventure is the reason perhaps Leia named her son Ben, and also Obi-Wan Kenobi's line when he tells Luke that Darth Vader killed his father is elevated because of Vader saying that he's the one who killed Anakin this series. That is the point of these shows. They are meant to expand the universe, and I think this show in particular, the second half, also increases my love and I think a lot of people's love for the prequels, which I think is great. So some of the things that really worked for me include the lightsaber battles. I know they are still a little bit wonky and the lightsabers sometimes were crazy bright, but the choreography of the fights were really spectacular, especially Reva versus Darth Vader, and of course in the end, Darth Vader versus Obi-Wan. They were thrilling and well-filmed fights. When, there's a lot of episodes that I think could have been filmed better, I will say that those two lightsaber battles were filmed well. And that's the type of filmmaking that I want and expect from Star Wars properties. I also found Darth Vader very menacing and powerful in this. And you can kind of feel that he's in his early days of being Darth Vader, but he's just so raw. him stopping the ship with the Force and then ripping it open was so cool. And then his battle with Obi-Wan at the end reflects the hate that he has for Obi-Wan, while also demonstrates the bond that he has with his previous master, because deep down inside, Anakin still has something to prove and has a connection to Obi-Wan, and that's why he doesn't end up killing him. And it's also something that the Emperor speaks on at the end when he calls him out basically on saying why he's so distracted and focused on Obi-Wan. And then we see Darth Vader kind of step into the Darth Vader that we know from the original trilogy, because he kind of moves on from Obi-Wan. And I think that final battle that they had was closure for the both of them. I also was so happy to see Liam Neeson return as Qui-Gon, and I thought that was really satisfying and really, again, enriches the prequels. You want to go back and watch them. I also think Emperor Palpatine showing up at the end was a nice touch, because he is always present. He was even somehow in the sequels. No one really knows or gets that, but I still think it's cool. And overall, I think the last 2 episodes especially are some great Star Wars content, and those 2 episodes elevate this entire series from the earlier episodes, which are weaker and more unfocused. So what holds this series back from being absolutely perfect? I think along with the first episodes lacking some purpose and being unfocused, I think this series, at least in the beginning and some other parts too, feels a little cheap, at least to me. And I feel that way with Disney Plus shows in general, even the Marvel Disney Plus shows. Sometimes they lack a little bit of personality, because I think the CGI and the production and the development of the shows, everything is rushed. Disney's putting out so many of these series and so much content out in just 1 year that there isn't enough time to really dig deep and develop these shows to their full potential. For example, the chase in one of the beginning episodes with Leia in the forest was just bad. It was badly choreographed, badly filmed, and badly set up. And that's really embarrassing for a studio like Disney, which has the money and resources to develop high quality content. We've seen them do it before with The Mandalorian. So I don't quite understand why they aren't able to match that quality in all of their shows. Like rescuing Leia from the base in one of the later episodes, I thought was a great episode and a great setup, but it still felt limited for me for some reason, especially when the same locations that they're at feel more real and alive in the original films and animated series. Like, we're visiting familiar places, but they don't feel the exact same as when we first saw them. And so it feels a little out of touch and out of sync. And even though the volume which they use for the CGI and a lot of the sets brings a lot of realism, it doesn't quite work as well as it did in The Mandalorian, at least for me. The Batman was seamless in the way it used the volume and CGI, but this and Boba Fett didn't feel quite right. Another weakness I think of this show is the plotline with the path. I get what they were trying to do, but I think, focusing on the path without really going all the way took too much time away from the Obi-Wan, Leia, Reva, and Anakin storyline. And that's where we should have been focusing on. With the limited number of episodes we have, we couldn't do any of that justice. And so it seemed a little like we were wasting time, and not even in a way that was worth it. I did like Kumail Nanjiani's character, and I liked the character of Tala, but they also could have been more refined. I think overall, this show, the script, needs another final edit because it's close and it has ideas, but it's not polished. But one thing that this show gets right is its cast. Everyone does a really good job acting wise, delivers really good performances. Ewan McGregor is Obi-Wan. He was fantastic, and it's always such a pleasure seeing him in this role. I love hearing Obi-Wan speak. I just love the way he speaks. It's so endearing and charming and warm. Ewan McGregor really embodies the character of Obi-Wan Kenobi, and there's so much depth and layers to his acting and to his performance. Like, you can really feel the pain that he's going through. I also think Obi-Wan's use of the Force was awesome in this series. We didn't really get much of it until the second half, but what we got was so cool when he stopped the water from the windows that were cracking at that base, to him lifting up the rocks and then hurling them at Darth Vader. That was so epic, and I think well deserved. We finally got to see Obi-Wan at his true potential. And then on the flip side, I was so happy to see Hayden Christensen return, and so happy he finally got a good scene in the finale. He only had one eye to act, and he did the most with it. I really enjoyed that last scene with him, and I really want to see more of Hayden Christensen as Anakin. I hope that he's in the Ahsoka show, and I hope he's in more shows, because I really enjoy his performance in the prequels, and I want to see more of that. I know the Rebels and Clone Wars animated series explore that, but but I want to see Hayden Christensen do more with the role. So I'm really enjoying his return. As for Moses Ingram, I think she did an excellent job. Her final scene with Obi-Wan in the finale, when she like throws away her lightsaber, was fantastic. Really well acted. That scene was so good and brought her entire season arc to a nice closure. Again, I think there's a lot of places this character can still go from here out. Reva's journey is not finished, and I'd like to see more. I also liked young Leia and young Luke. I appreciated having them, and once I understood Leia's story, especially with the final conversation that she has with Obi-Wan, I really enjoyed her arc in this season. I understand her purpose, and I get what the creator of this show were trying to do with including young Leia especially. I think that final conversation that she has with Obi-Wan is so rich and adds so much meaning to the original trilogy. I love it. That one conversation alone is worth this entire series. So overall, everything came together so well, and Ewan McGregor is so good that I do want to see more, and I want a season 2 of Obi-Wan Kenobi. I think there are interesting storylines and possibilities that we can work with, and I think that everyone would be down to come back, and I would love to see everyone return. And I think that a second season of this show would be even better than the first season, because Lucasfilm will learn from their mistakes and listen to the feedback of fans who generally like the show. Bring on season 2. I cannot wait. What did you think of this series? Did you enjoy it? And did you enjoy it more once you saw the finale and saw everything come together? Let me know what your thoughts were, if you enjoyed the show, and if you look forward to a season 2. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you had a great time. Lots more videos coming soon, but in the meantime, make sure you like this video and subscribe. Click the bell icon so you don't miss any upcoming videos, and don't forget to share this video with your friends and fellow movie enthusiasts. I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.